A great question to ask yourself is, have you been struggling with clarity around your calling? So a good way to think about this is, if I ask someone why they should choose you to buy your product, to buy your service, to work with you, to employ you, could they answer in one sentence? And typically, if the answer is no, then there's an area in your life where you can grow. And it's the clarity of your calling. You see, people pay for value. They don't pay for effort. And unfortunately, we're in a world where our school system teaches us to focus on effort instead of become laser focused on value. And if we were able to take a step back in our lives and just look for a minute, glance for a minute at people that have achieved high levels of success in their life, we will consistently see a pattern. And that pattern is that these people are delivering, deploying, but yet first discovering their value. And then they leverage their effort to infuse their value and not the other way around. You see, your calling is the place in your life where your gifts get the opportunity to solve real world problems. And the problem for most people is they've never become clear on their calling. How can you produce great results when, for example, in the Bible, the book of Proverbs says your gift will make room for you in the presence of kings? You will not stand in front of mean men. Now, most people hear that word mean and they think, oh, I don't want to stand in front of angry men. Well, if we were listening in maths class in school, we would know that the word mean means something different than mean. The word mean means average. And the Bible tells us the cheat code. The ultimate cheat code is your gift will make room for you in the presence of great men, in the presence of kings. You will not stand in front of average men. So your calling is the precise place where your gifts get the opportunity to solve real world problems. What most people don't realize, because I have a lot of conversations with people around clarity and around their calling, most people don't realize that the battle they have is a battle between two ideas. And those two ideas are confidence and clarity. So often what happens is people say to me, Samuel, the moment I feel confident, I'll start to build my clarity. And in all fairness, I have to be transparent with them and say to them, you will never develop confidence until you first embrace clarity. And the reason why this works like this, the reason why things are built like this, is because clarity creates confidence. Clarity is the key ingredient to create confidence in your future, to create confidence around what you desire to do, create confidence around the results that you can have coming through. Clarity creates confidence. So if you're finding in your life at times in a season for some reason that you're lacking confidence, the real thing that's actually missing is most likely usually clarity. The clearer you get, the more bold you can be. And this is the cheat code for everybody. You see, most of us don't realize that confidence actually even attracts opportunity. Confidence is the magnet that causes people to lean in when you're speaking. Confidence is the magnet that causes people to say, I'd love to hear this person more. I'd love to place this person on stage so other people can hear another one of their page. This comes from confidence. It attracts opportunity because it creates or is created by clarity. And the thing that's so interesting, most people don't realize, is so many human beings lack clarity that when you show up with clarity, people are attracted to you. When I show up with clarity, people are attracted to me because they recognize they lack that clarity in their life. Here's what I want you to do. This is a journal notebook action, right? Take out your journal, take out your pen, paper, okay? Tablet, stylus, phone, okay? Whatever you need in order to succeed. And I want you to complete this sentence. People come to me because I help them, and you finish that sentence. People come to me because I help them, and whatever comes to your mind, you finish that sentence. And if something doesn't come to your mind, then we both know it's about time. It's about time that you develop your clarity a little bit more. Because if you attempt to do this task, people often come to me because I help them ... And after the ellipsis, you don't have anything to share, then we have a problem taking place here. Because you're most likely lacking clarity. And if you're lacking that clarity, I already know you're lacking confidence. And if you're lacking that confidence, you're also most likely lacking authority. And if you're lacking authority, you aren't executing any authorship. Samuel, what do you mean by authorship? Well, authority and author are both rooted in the same word. So the reason people are able to stand on stage and share with you value without even turning a page is because that authority comes from the confidence that's been built. But the confidence comes from the clarity that's been built. And if you're lacking the clarity, you will lack the confidence. If you lack the confidence, you will lack the authority, and you won't go out there and exercise your ability as an author because you won't see yourself as an authority. Let me show you how this really works. This will hopefully help someone. You see, most people don't realize how it works. This is how it works. It works in a very synonymous way as a tree, right? Let's say this is a seed. Okay, let's say this is a seed. This seed is so much similar to our calling. Okay, so our calling isn't some mumbo jumbo. It isn't some humongous jugumbus. I don't even know what word I'm trying to say there, right? Our calling isn't something big and massive. It's something very, very minute. Before it even starts to sprout and shoot, our calling is like a seed. But here's the funniest thing. If we take care of the seed grows and starts to produce everything we need. And as it grows and begins to produce everything we need, over time, that seed we know becomes, ladies and gents, a tree. Now, why is this so important? I'm going to tell you why it's so important. Because this tree is our value. This tree is the value we bring to the community. But the tree couldn't come until we recognize the seed. Having clarity on the seed is what allows us to develop the tree to give other people what they need. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Now that our seed, our calling, is allowed to develop into value or a tree, this now can become shade for others. This now can not only provide shade, it can also produce fruit for others. People can now come and enjoy what we've placed on our convoy. Why? Because our value now provides service. Our value is able to provide service when we get to a place where we're not so focused on eating our seed because of our greed, but we're more focused on using our seed to create everything we need. Now, there's more. You see, the moment you're calling, that seed right there is allowed to produce everything you need, the tree of value, and produce service in the form of shade, in the form of a fruit, in the form of a place for birds to place their nests, and so forth and so forth. The moment our value through means of our calling is providing service, we start to build a currency that very few people have. And that currency is known as trust. In our ability to serve others, we start to develop trust. Now, let me tell you where trust comes from. Trust is not coming from the fruit. Most people mistake this. The trust actually comes from the root. The reason trust is able to come from the root is because every single thing that's an outcome, like the fruit, are all singularly and solely relying on the power of the root. So this is the reason why this becomes so powerful, because your calling's the seed, your value's the tree, your service is the shade and fruit for you and me, but then the trust starts to develop because of your reliability, but it's all because we're relying on the root. And then the next thing happens. And because we're talking about the psychological battles that we're facing on the path to becoming a millionaire, let me tell you what happens next. The next thing that happens is your trust builds a society, an environment, a system where people are willing to now give you income. That income is exchanged because of trust built through means of your service. And most people miss out on this because they just don't start with clarity. You see, this forestry framework that I use to illustrate this is one that you would do well to remember, so that you don't cut off your seed with an attitude of greed, but instead you allow your seed to grow and produce everything you need. Because clarity is the seed that every income tree ultimately grows from. If you resonate with what I've shared and you understand this as something that maybe you want to start to work on, I want you to write the word clarity in the comments below. This is another way that I show people how small keys open big doors.
Small keys open big doors.